Take away the VFW meeting. Have you ever made that kind of reference to your opponent in any forum, publicly or privately?
I am very sensitive to how last names are pronounced. Again, my own last name is not Smith or Jones or Schmidt, okay? So I'm very sensitive about how names are pronounced, and I try and pronounce everyone's name with the respect that it deserves. And I do not, I can't think of a single instance where that happened. I think it's entirely false.
Have you spoken with Surya at all about this, or tried to reach him? And if you've had any conversation with him, can you share that with us, since this whole dust-up?
No, I have not had any conversations, but I'd like to say at this stage of the game that, you know, I very much respect both of my opponents in this race, and I've been on the record saying that whoever the nominee is from the Democratic Party, that I would support them against Representative Schmidt. And I think that both of my opponents are good men, and I think we all, each of us, would make a far better representative than Jean Schmidt.
Is Mr. Sanis still, Mr. Sanis was there at the?
Yes.
He was present.
At the event. Mr. Sanis, did you hear Mr. Krikorian say anything that you would have deemed offensive to another candidate? Did you hear him say anything
No,
about?
I did not hear one thing, I swear to God.
And Jean Schmidt was not in attendance.
Jean Schmidt was not there.
I figured not.
No.
Yeah.
No. So here, you know, you have somebody making assertions about what was allegedly said and putting them in a letter and making false accusations. And we know that Jean Schmidt has a history of this kind of reckless behavior. She has often spoken without thinking first, and this is another example of that. And it's just, it's frankly disappointing. I mean, we're talking about, I'm the leading Democratic candidate for U.S. representative. And 6 days before a primary, we get a letter from somebody in the opposite party trying to manipulate our race. I mean, if that doesn't smack of dirty political tricks, you know, I'll let the voters decide. I think the voters are smart enough to figure that out. This is a dirty political trick by Jean Schmidt, and it's not going to work.
I know you're hitting hard at Jean on this, but you have, I mean, Chris Redfern, Tim Burke, I mentioned Dave Lang also.
We have lots of Democratic leaders who support our candidacy, and lots of folks have emailed me and have called me and said that they think that what some of these leaders did based on Jean Schmidt's allegations is outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And again, Tim and Dave, they have a vote. And if they want to vote, they're free to exercise their vote. I very much believe that at the end of the day, we will win the primary and we will be the nominee. And I hope that we will be able to come together as a united party to defeat Jean Schmidt in November. And that's what I believe will happen.
But you categorically deny ever saying
I've never
Surya's
denigrated any of
government.
my opponents. Again, I'm very sensitive to that. We were repeatedly called all sorts of. I mean, my name is a tough last name to say. You know, I understand that, and we were repeatedly, even in the media, called things like Kevorkian, because that's a similar sounding name. I've heard that on major radio programs here in the tri-state area, and you know. I don't fault those guys for what they did, but I'm pretty sensitive to that, and I try to make sure that I give everybody the respect that they deserve. And anyway,
let me ask you one other thing. I don't
one other question, sure.
But just because the problem we're butting up against right now is that Dave Lane, who's the head of the Democratic Party in Claremont County, said in a conversation with him shortly after Surya announced, you said, how is someone with a name like that going to get elected in the second congressional district? I asked him, I said, did he say this in a way that made you take it seriously, in terms of you thought that you were bothered by it, and he said yes. But that he let it go at the time until this came up.
Well, I think that speaks for itself right there, frankly. You know, what can I say? I'm not gonna get into a he said, she said with somebody who's obviously supporting another candidate. He can say whatever he wants, it's a free country. But he is, in my opinion, entirely incorrect in his view, just as Jean Schmidt was entirely incorrect in her view. Okay? Thank you very much, folks. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.